First question we're asking everybody. We're giving you an opportunity to please introduce yourself, tell us which race you're running for, and why you've chosen to run in that particular department. And we'll start with you, Rena, since we are very chivalrous.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you for having us here. I appreciate the second scheduled day. I know I wasn't able to make it on the first day, but I thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us this evening. My name is Rena G. Hughes, and I am running for Family Court Judge in Department J. And the reason I'm running in Department J is that I believe that that department especially needs the experience and credentials that I have that I would bring to the bench. In that department, we have an incumbent who is one of the lowest rated judges through the Review Journal poll and didn't practice family law before taking the bench in family court, and it shows. I believe that with my credentials, my ethics, and the experience that I have, I can make that department run more efficiently and bring credibility where family court sometimes doesn't have that. I think the public is losing confidence in some of our judiciary, especially in family court. And it's my goal to help the public be more confident again in family court, and especially in this department.
Okay, Mathew.
Judge Harter. I am trying to keep my job. I was elected in 2008. Prior to that, I clerked for Family Court Judge Gerald Hardcastle when Family Court just started out. After that, I opened my own practice where I practiced primarily law, family law, until I was elected in 2008. I had thousands of family law cases, and it's just an area of law that I've learned to love. I care about the parties that come in front of me. I read the stuff 2 or 3 times before they take the bench, so sometimes that's more than the attorneys. I try to keep a timely calendar. My decisions are issued in a timely manner. And as far as the RJ poll, I'm in the top half of the family court judges.
Well, we've before we go on to the next question, I have never appeared in department, and I've never appeared in front of you, Your Honor.
Right.
And I don't think I've never appeared in Department J. I try and avoid family court. With all due respect to the both of you, you're gluttons for punishment, and I respect that. But
yeah.
So I will be participating in the endorsement process for both your 2 races. I do have 1 pending case in Department L, so I'm stepping back from that race. Otherwise, I'm unfortunately I couldn't slough off my duties to someone else, so, much to my chagrin. But just for full disclosure, for both of you. That having been said, you both brought up the much vaunted RJ poll. I'm start with Judge Harter and give Rena a chance to answer afterward. Obviously, it's a tool so we can help the electorate in general learn more about our judges as individuals and how they are doing in relation to the other individuals on the bench. What ideas do you have to improve the poll or perhaps modify the survey to accomplish its goal of giving that kind of information to a populace that by and large would never encounter you as individuals in your capacity as judges?
The RJ actually asked that in their own interview, and so one of my suggestions was, first of all, with modern technology, there should be no reason why they can't verify that an attorney has actually appeared in front of that judge. I think the question is, have you appeared in front of this judge at least once or twice in the last 2 years? If you look at the wide variety of numbers, because we all have the same amount of caseload between the judges and how many people are answering toward one particular judge. I mean, the rumor is you can get a group of friends to fill out forms and assist you. I think that there should be a way where they can verify that that particular attorney has been in front of you at least once or twice, or else you don't have the right to vote on that attorney. Otherwise, you're just going on what other people have heard or said, or what you think their reputation is. And it also takes out the, the allegation. Again, I don't know for a fact, but I've heard the allegation where you'll get a group of friends that will fill out the ballot and assist you to pump your numbers up. So.
Okay. Rena, what ideas do you have?
Well, yeah, I was asked the same question by the Review Journal, and I think the survey itself is pretty credible. You do have to put your bar number in there, and it's only filled out by the attorneys. And you, as an attorney, are supposed to have enough ethics that you only fill out the survey for the judges that you appear in front of. And I, for one, adhere to those ethics. I believe that if they were to print something out and to verify just by bar numbers, it's still anonymous, because I don't think the Review Journal would go and look through everybody's bar numbers and link them up. I mean, that would be a nightmare to try to track all of that. But I believe the survey itself is informative and it's accurate. Because you look at the judges, and I practiced in family court for 25 years, you look at the judges who are highly rated, and they are the best judges, and you look at the judges who are the lowest rated, and by and large, I mean, the consensus is in the bar that appears in front of these judges that they're not the best judges.
Both of you have a significant amount of experience as litigators in the family court. Obviously, Your Honor, before you became a judge, and Rena, you still are actively practicing. One thing that family court judges encounter, I should say, more than happens in downtown courts, is the prevalence of pro pers. What ideas do you have, Rena, to try and minimize the difficulties that are associated with pro pers, either being against them as an opponent, or more importantly, when you're elected, how will you assist them within the bounds of your duties and ethical requirements, assist them to get through an incredibly difficult process?
Well, I think the necessary tool for pro pers is mediation. We already have mandatory mediation for child custody issues, but there is a panel that's out there, and we have the resources to do mediation for property issues as well. The problem with pro pers is they don't know the law, and they're very emotionally involved, obviously, in their own cases. But if they had some guidelines and they had some legal principles in front of them, I think they might be able to resolve some of their cases with the help of a mediator. We have the UNLV mediation program, they do assist us, but I also serve on the outsourced mediation committee at family court, and that committee reviews applications from mediators who are willing to serve in family court, and we review their applications and approve them if they meet our guidelines. Right now, I serve as a voluntary mediator for family court. I volunteer my time for pro pers, often English language learners who can't get through the system. And we have interpreters come to my office, and they interpret for these people, and I mediate their cases. I think they just need someone who's practical, who's down to earth, who understands what they're going through, who can relate to them, and give them almost these tools, the mediation tools to help them get through their case. Often they have nothing to fight over. That's why they're pro per litigants. They can't afford an attorney. And the biggest thing they might have is underwater house, the debt. How do they divide their debt? Or a retirement plan. And if they could just talk to a mediator and know what the law is, they could probably be done with their case like that. I think that tool needs to be available to them, that resource needs to be available, and that's what I would promote on the bench, is I would definitely continue to serve on this outsourced mediation committee and promote mediation for those people.
Okay. Your Honor.
And I can tell you as a sitting judge, the biggest thing that you have to do with pro se litigants is let them know on the forefront that I can't treat you any differently. And the more frustrating is the pro se litigant against the client who has an attorney. And you tell them, I can't help you on that day. There are things that you can do. You can go to the Ask a Lawyer program. You can go to pro bono and take the classes. UNLV has classes. You need to know the law, you need to know the procedure, you need to know all of these things and be as though you were an attorney, because if you don't, stuff's not going to go well for you on that day. Some of them listen, some of them don't. I've actually had cases where people of average education have come in and cleaned attorneys' clocks because they've actually read the case law and done a well job, but a lot of them don't do that. But you can't assist them, you just try to have to inform them. They have a video now that will kind of give them the general parameters, but you know, if they work at it, some of them can do a good job.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard that a pro per has come in and cleaned a trained attorney's clock.
It was embarrassing. Well, it was one of the attorneys who, you know, I call them the dabblers who kind of practice family law, you know, and not exclusively, so they know just enough family law to get by. And it was a relocation case, and the attorney knew a little bit about relocation, and this mom researched, I think, every case on relocation, and it was entertaining for me.
It wasn't.
No. For the record, it wasn't Rena. Rena's clock was not cleaned by that pro per.
So there's actually out there resources out there that could help pro se, litigants as you told me.
Absolutely.
And do you guys provide, or somebody provides that information, or they have to research that?
A lot of brochures on the second floor. Again, it's sort of, they can take classes, they can ask a lawyer for, I don't think they're limited to how many times, but a few to ask at least some specific questions. But at least, you know, and get you to the general area, and sometimes average people are actually going to have to possibly read a case or two, but it's not really complex sometimes. They just need to know what they need to prove and prove it. And follow the rules. And I tell them, there's deadlines. That's the biggest thing with pro se. There is deadlines. And if you don't meet the deadlines, then I can't allow it to come in. Just like if this attorney doesn't meet the deadlines, then theirs doesn't come in.
But there's a self-help center downstairs, and they can go in and get forms, and if they don't know how to fill out the forms, they will go to the Ask a Lawyer program that Judge Harter was talking about. You don't have to make an appointment. I've served as a volunteer attorney for Ask a Lawyer. It's on Thursday afternoons at 2 o'clock, and you go in and you take your paperwork in, and you have the free services of an attorney. It's like a legal clinic that's conducted right at the courthouse on the second floor every week. And then there are mediation services, as I mentioned, through UNLV. They volunteer their time. There are attorneys like myself who volunteer our time, and you can just reach out to those resources.
Judge Harter mentioned about like free classes where you could attend and gives you an insight on how the court process takes place. So
the pro bono place has the classes. UNLV, I believe, offers classes as well, just to give you general
idea.
You know, the general law on it. Absolutely.
You seem very interested in this, Ron.
Well, and
I don't know if your wife doesn't see this video.
there's a video on
knowledge is power.
the video on the family court website is, I believe, putting your best foot forward in mediation. Is that what it is? That's what it's called. There's a video on how to be prepared for mediation.
That's awesome. I mean, it's new information, so that would be
I think
great.
family court has done a lot to help people. Definitely. We have different factions that are willing to help out and chip in, and there's a lot of resources for family court, unlike regular district court or criminal court.
They also don't have the same flood of pro per litigants in district court as they do in family courts, where you have I think a majority of your litigants are unrepresented, if I'm not mistaken.
The last couple numbers I've heard was 62 or 65% pro se.
So almost 2/3.
Oh yeah, yeah. And some of them, you know, you're getting motions because she cut my daughter's hair too short. I kid you not. I mean, and you get the very serious ones, and you get the ones that $25. I'm going to make my ex miserable.
Well, go ahead, Freddie.
After looking at all these resources and asking for mediator help and everything, and still you think they still don't have enough, I mean, you know, things to go on, would you go on the hearing, or would you say, well, you need to get some more help, or, I mean, you know.
That's all on how you manage your calendar. I can tell you, I'm one who usually reads stuff the day after it's filed, just to screen stuff to make sure that it's an issue that's right before me. I had, you know, when I was doing it the other day, it was an issue where I just simply didn't have jurisdiction. So if I can do a minute order that says I don't have jurisdiction over this case, it disposes of them, it disposes of their stress, it cleans up a slot for another case and can get filled. So it's just case management.
So where do they go after that? If you says it's not, it's not within your jurisdiction, then where will they go?
Well, in this particular case, a different state, because both these parties have moved out of state, and both parties move out of the state of Nevada. I just simply don't have jurisdiction. So.
Rena, you had mentioned something earlier. I think you had used the phrase that the public is losing faith in family court, or words to that effect. A, what did you more specifically mean by that? And B, if elected, what do you plan to do to correct whatever you think is causing that loss of faith?
I've been practicing family law in this town since 1989, so I'm basing what I say on my own opinion, but my opinion is based on my experience of being a litigator. I've litigated cases where I'm a pro bono attorney and there's no money, and I've litigated very high asset estates, everything in between. And when I say that the family court is not up to par and the public loses confidence sometimes in family court, this is what I have seen in the past. And then of course the debacle we saw with our judge who just pled guilty to federal offenses. I mean, that doesn't help. That gives us a black eye. But the other thing that has happened in the past is that for whatever reason we've had people who run for family court judge because maybe they see it as a stepping stone to a regular district court position, or they think that it's easier to be elected as a family court judge, but they don't bring wealth of knowledge, experience, and wisdom to the position. And when they do that, they do a disservice to all of us. The people who are appearing as litigants, the attorneys who are trying the cases, because I can take my client in, I know the law, I know the facts, and I've made reasonable arguments. Now, why can't I tell my client this is what should happen? Because we have a wild card on the bench who didn't practice family law, didn't represent those grandmas and grandpas, those moms and dads, but thought for whatever reason I should be a judge, so I'm going to run in family court because it's easier to win. I don't know why that is. So that's the perception that's out there, that we have less than adequate judiciary because they don't have the qualifications. And when you have that happen, the public loses confidence because they said, I went in front of this judge and they just didn't get it. I brought all this evidence about, alcohol use and drug use, and I still have joint custody, and the other person has done all of these terrible things, and I still have joint custody because the judge isn't making the right decisions. They haven't represented those people. They just don't get it. For whatever reason, they think Nevada law is the default position of joint custody. Well, that's not true. And you do have to put on your case and you have to prove your case. But if you're doing it to a judge who has a complete disconnect and wasn't there and didn't put in their dues, like some of us have, then you have bad decisions. My goal, and the only reason I'm running, is to improve the decisions that come out of family court. Because I have the background, and I have the wisdom, and I have the discernment, because I put in my dues. I have a great practice, and doing this and putting myself out there and running for public office isn't ideal at my age. I'm at the top of my field. I'm 50 years old, and I have a great practice. So why would I want to do this and become a public servant? Because that's what I think is necessary to improve the judiciary for the people of Clark County. And I have a background of public service, so it's the next natural step for me. It's not all that much fun to campaign and put yourself out there, but I see a need.
You're saying it's not fun to be talking to us at 8:15 on a Saturday evening?
Not you.
We're going to take that
not
personally.
You personally. No, I've been running since January, so.
So can you sue the judge? Or the lawyer at least, because you're not being represented,
Well, Judge Harter, what ideas do you have to try and bolster the family court bench's, overall appearance, or the public's opinion of the family court bench as a whole? I mean, what ideas do you have to make, I don't want to say make you more popular, that's the wrong terminology, but to give the public more confidence in the judiciary down at Pecos and Bonanza?
Just like Rena indicated, you have to have good judges and someone who's experienced and not issue the bad decisions. So we've unfortunately got a lot of bad publicity. I mean, we had a couple of judges. We have some very low-ranked judges. We have the Jones thing, then we have the bailiff thing. So it seemed to just, you know, we all just need to do our job and do it right, and that's exactly what I try to do. I try to go to work, I try to get my cases managed, I try to just do my stuff and don't worry about like, I'm trying to do all this stuff to look great for everybody. I just try to do what's best for the cases that are in front of me. And if every judge, I think, would just do that, you know, not have any ulterior motives, then I think we'd all be better.